Starliner Media. Starliner Media presents Music Night at the Majestic with your host, Michael Boswell.
All right, it's time once again for Music Night at the Majestic, and with us tonight, Johnny Hatton. John, welcome to the show.
Hello, folks. Howdy do. I feel welcome.
I have seen you numerous times playing with Brian Setzer.
Lucky you, huh?
But you know what? It was ironically though, it was well after that I realized that I had been listening to you in Big Daddy and didn't know it.
Oh, how about that? That's a name from the past.
So yeah. But as I always say, you know, every musician's journey starts somewhere. So why don't we begin with the start of your journey? How did you get into music?
Well, I've my dad was a violinist, and I remember when I was 6 years old, he got me a violin. I had been begging him to give me a violin because he'd stroll around the house playing Bach etudes or the cello suites, and he played viola as well. So he'd be at one of those instruments. He'd be just strolling as he would play. You know, he was a classical trained violinist, and so that's one of my earliest memories. Is when I was a little bitty kid, maybe 6 years old, I'm thinking, and he pulled a little violin out of a paper bag. He'd got it from a violin maker in Columbia, Missouri. We were living in northern Missouri at the time, and my heart just leapt. And I get the feeling every time I think of that. I get the same feeling. Oh, you know, oh, my violin. So that's when I started, and he taught me for years. And then I couldn't read music really well right at first, but he would always have it in front of me. But I would ask him to play it. Hey, Dad, can you play the song for me? Whatever it was, a Bach etude or something, and then exercise, and then I would memorize the thing and then play it by ear. So it's odd, when I got into the high school orchestra, I couldn't read, even though I could play the stuff. But gradually I got so I could read. Now I can sight read fly specks, as they say in the music business. Yeah. And, Brian's gig was a reading gig, because all his stuff is charted. But of course, you play him enough times, you got them memorized.
Yeah.
So that was one of the prerequisites of getting that gig, was being able to read big band charts.
Now, how did you wind up playing with Brian?
It was through a friend of mine who was in Big Daddy. It was our sax player, Bob Sandman. And may he rest in peace. But I doubt it, knowing him. He's causing a scene wherever he is. But he was our sax player, and he was also in the sax section of the BSO. And he started calling me to do auditions for BSO, like the keyboard player. At one time they had one. So he said, Spazz, we're going to audition the keyboard player. Show up at this studio, and so I would be there, and of course Brian wouldn't be there. But anyway, then Brian got wind of me as a bass player, and he would start calling me to do demo sessions, because at the time he was living in Santa Monica. He was writing songs for his whatever, and he would want to get them demoed. So it would be me, Bernie Dressel, and Brian in a little upstairs studio in Santa Monica, which I can't remember the name. But he would start playing. I said, he said, go like this, Johnny. Wait a minute, Brian. Hold on, let me get a pencil. So he would, as he played, I would write the notes, the bar lines and the chords, and then we'd get a Xerox, and I'd give a copy to Bernie, and bam, we had it done in 2 or 3 takes. So every tune was like that. And I don't know if that impressed him, but anyway, when the chair opened up, I got the call. And I remember the first time they called me, I asked for $3,500 a week, and they said, well, we can't afford that. And I said, well, I'm making that in town, because Big Daddy was going crazy. And also there was another band I was in called the Ho Dads. It was a party band, and we're playing convention work and all kinds of things. So it was kind of like, well, I could stay in town and make more money. So I guess that was kind of dumb, thinking of the money rather than fame and fortune. But a few years went by, and I got the offer again. And I asked my friend Tim Bonham, who plays keyboards in the Beach Boys. He was also in Big Daddy. He was our keyboardist for a while. And I said, Tim, do you think I ought to take this gig? And he says, heck yeah, take it. So the second time they offered, I took the gig, and I'm glad I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll come back to Brian, so that we try to keep it on a somewhat linear, historical line here.
Hysterical. Yeah.
Yeah. We mentioned Big Daddy. Now, you joined them when they were on the second album.
Yes, they'd done an album, just kind of a studio project, and they asked me to come down and audition because they wanted to start doing live gigs. And I thought that was the nuttiest stuff I'd ever heard. I just cracked up, and I said, I got to get in this band. So I greased my hair up. I didn't know I put Vaseline in it. No. Do not do that ever, children. Do not put Vaseline in your hair. So anyway, I did the Vaseline, and I put a pack of cigarettes. I don't smoke. I just got one for the look, roll it up in the T-shirt like the kids used to do.
Mm-hmm.
And don't smoke ever, unless maybe a cigar once a year, twice. That's okay. And I went down and did the audition. They loved it. And so I got the gig. And it took me 2 or 3 weeks to get the Vaseline out of my hair. That stuff is tenacious.
Well, I'll tell you, I have the first album, which you can see on the wall over here.
There it is.
Behind me. And when that came out,
I don't think I was on that one.
No, so they say you came on Cutting Their Own Groove.
Yeah, I believe so. Somewhere in there. You probably know more than I do.
Anything else you'd like to know about yourself, John?
Yes. What time is it? Yeah. When do I need my pablum?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
But anyway, a friend of mine had heard it, and he got the album, and he tells me, he's like, you've got to hear this. You're going to love it. They explained the whole thing of doing mashups before mashups were a thing.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was great.
Well, the whole premise was we were kidnapped by the Viet Cong on a tour of Laos or whatever, and held captives for 20 years until and we only knew the 50s style. So when people would say, well, we need to do this song, well, how does it go? We don't know. So we would just play it in 50s style,
Yeah.
That was the premise.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that the thing that impressed me most was how well the arrangements worked, and the creativity of the whole premise. But it's amazing to me how some of those songs work so well in that style.
Oh yeah, it was a collaboration. Everybody had an input. And how the song would go. Somebody would come, usually Tom Lee. I got to give Tom Lee a lot of credit for finding songs that would work done another way, the 50s way.
Yeah. Well, was it the third album was the Sgt. Pepper's?
Oh, man, you're asking.
Well, the reason I was going to say is the reworking of A Day in the Life.
Oh yeah, who could imagine?
Like yeah, with the Buddy Holly things. I thought that was brilliant.
Yep, yep.
So now, is that one of them that you were involved in?
I was involved in all of them, yeah, up until well, I think what was the last album we did? Was it the Sgt. Pepper's? I believe so. And then I started working with Setzer, I believe. And there was a band called Big Daddy or the Ho Dads, a party band that I was in, and they at the time we were doing gigs at this club called at my place. It was called At My Place. So where are you playing? At my place. It sounded like you were stuttering. So and we would make usually about $80 a man. We would fill the place. But I got involved in this party band called the Ho Dads, and our gigs were paying like $600 a man for local gigs. And so I started sending a sub into the at my place gigs, and I think it rankled the members of the band that I wasn't there all the time. But I sent in a good bass player, Dennis Croy. So they fired me, and then Dennis got my gig, and I said, "Well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Spazz could be here most of the time, and instead you got the sub all the time." So it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
it was a kind of an emotional trip, I guess. But anyway, I really enjoyed playing with that band. It was hysterical.
Yeah,
and, they actually got back together in the last year, and I went to see one of their shows. And I had a smile all night long, just laughing at all the bits that I remembered.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the nickname Spazz.
Yes.
What's the origin of that nickname?
I believe that came in when I was in the Big Daddy, because there were 8 guys in the band. So each guy tried to create a persona that they would remember from the 50s. For example, there would be the guy in the motorcycle jacket. That was Bob Sandman, the biker. And then Marty would be the white sport coat and pink carnation guy. And Bob Wayne would be the Elvis guy with the lame outfit, gold lame jacket and whatnot. And then Bubba was kind of the dummy of the band, the dumb bass player. And I said, "Well, what can I be?" And I go, "Well, I'm the only guy wearing glasses." So, and I had these big horn rim glasses left over from the 60s, I guess. And so I said, "I'll be the band nerd." And I got a pocket protector with the pencils and a slide rule. I actually have it. I still have a slide rule. And the flip up glasses, and that became Spazz, the nerd, the band nerd, or the band geek.
See, that's something you should put on a T-shirt.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's see. I just happen to have my very own line of T-shirts. You too. Now listen, kids. You can order those T-shirts on. Now this is unreal that I got this handle, JohnnyHatton.com. Do you believe it? I could get that. I could get that website. Anyway, go on JohnnyHatton.com. That's easy to remember. I have them in all flavors. And there's me. That's my Spazz signature. That's how sometimes I sign my name that way.
Yeah, well, we've got your website scrolling across the bottom of the screen here. So
yay.
Make it easy for folks.
Get your pencils.
Hopefully they pause it to write it down, but then they, unpause it to watch the rest of the show.
There it comes again. JohnnyHatton.com for all things Johnny.
In your career, not only have you done obviously the 2 things that we discussed, but you've done a lot of stuff in TV music as well, haven't you?
Occasionally, yeah. I was working with a fellow named when I first moved to LA. I got a gig with a keyboardist named Stan Worth, and we had a 5-piece combo, and he was doing TV theme songs like there was a whole bunch of themes, TV themes that we did, High Rollers, and then he was conductor on Name That Tune. Those were the great years, and so consequently, I got a nice retirement check coming in from the AF of M. And I recommend joining the American Federation of Musicians because it puts you in a brotherhood of people who are, and plus you can do union sessions, file contracts for stuff. I'm getting a pension of about $700 a month, I believe. My wife knows what it is, but
your wife always knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So TV work, symphony work. I mean,
Symphony.
You pretty much covered it. Now tell me this, you're best known for jazz, swing, and rockabilly.
I think so. Recently, anyway, God bless Brian Setzer for putting up with me for, I guess, 25 years or more now. So, including the demo sessions we used to do with Bernie. But unfortunately,
tell me this. What are the main similarities and main differences between those three styles?
Oh, the three styles meaning
jazz, swing, and rockabilly.
Well, jazz and swing are kind of the same thing, but rockabilly is with Brian's band, it's still a big band and it's a jazz big band, but they're playing arrangements of other tunes, not jazz tunes per se, but because they've been written and you have a swing feel on the bass and a drummer that swings and well, anyway, I guess it's a jazz band if you could put it that way, except you got a guy in front that plays rockabilly, but the rest of it's jazz.
Style wise, when you're playing, what are the different techniques or what have you that you emphasize on one style versus another?
Well, I have several basses. I have a bass that I play in the symphonies because I'm in 3 symphony orchestras now. The Palisades Symphony, San Fernando Valley Symphony, and let's see, what was the other one?
That one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, the one, Thousand Oaks. There you go. So, I mean, that was my first love, is symphonic, and that's what I have on the radio when I'm driving my car. It's KUSC FM symphonic, because it's the only music that makes me go, wow, that's really cool. Whereas jazz, that's cool too, but it's a lot of the same thing. Bass players going but which is cool. You're making up things. You're creating a part, and so I'll sometimes listen to jazz, but I can't pull it in real well. That's kind of why I get the symphony station KUSC, because I can't pull that jazz station in from Long Beach. So I'm still driving old cars, kids. I got the 88 Mustang and then the 62 GMC and the 53 Ford wagon, and the radios don't work too well in those.
But they got style.
Yes, they do. They're head turners, man. Nobody looks at a Porsche anymore. Okay, another Porsche. But when I drive that 53 Ford wagon, people are giving me thumbs up. They're waving. They're yelling at me. What year is that? It's just a joy to own it, and it's a cool looking car. We get in the cars in movies now. In fact, my GMC pickup, the 62, it's white over gray. You can see that in Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh.
And Licorice Pizza. Just saw that a couple nights ago with the wife.
Okay.
And there's some really nice close-ups of it. Yeah, the 62 GMC pickup.
Well, when I watch it, I'll have to look at it and go, hey, that's Johnny's truck.
Yeah, there's a few pictures of it, and you can see my arm hanging out the window in one of the shots.
Did your arm get a cameo credit?
No, they don't give you credits. But and then we shot another one. The working title is Fableman, and it's a Spielberg film. And I got the green wagon and the 62 in that one. So we're on the set with all these car guys, which is really cool because you get to talk shop. And then some of those guys, I said, how many cars do you have? And he says, 100. Oh my God. So they can bring in, and some of them bring in car transports, where you see 6 or 8 cars, and they'll unload those. And sometimes they use them. Sometimes they just park them on the staging area and never use them, but they get paid. We get paid $250 per car.
Oh,
so if they're bringing in a transport,
yeah, exactly.
My goodness, there'd be 8 cars there.
Mm-hmm.
But I got some
nice
of my
work if you can get it.
Yeah.
Well, is cars always been a passion for you?
Oh, well, I grew up in the 60s, and I was in high school, class of 64. So for at least the 4 years of that, you're a car guy in the 60s, and every one of us subscribed to Hot Rod magazine, and it would come every month. And it's kind of a nostalgic thing, and I'm in a car club now called the Yakety Yaks. Is that a great name for a car club? Yakety Yak, don't talk back. And they have their little metal plate for the car club that you hang from the bumper. It has musical notes coming out of it, of an exhaust pipe of a shoebox Ford. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Now, have you kept your the Ford and the GMC stock, or?
Well, they're all no. Well, the GMC stock, it was actually my wife's dad's truck. He bought it, and there was a camper on it when he bought it, and they went camping all over the place. Went to Mexico in it and back, and I inherited it. Well, he gave it to me because they weren't using it, and I had the camper, and we used it to camp with the kids when my kids were little. And eventually I ditched the camper and just used it for a work truck because I do construction work also, and keep all my tools locked up in it with a hard shell fiberglass lid on the bed. Full-size bed. I don't get the new trucks of today that have that stupid back seat, because that means you can't get a sheet of plywood in the bed. What's with that?
A 4.5 foot long bed?
Yeah. And or even 6 feet. You got the plywood's hanging out in the,
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I got an 8-foot bed. I can lock everything up in it, and with the locking top.
Mm-hmm. Now, go ahead.
Oh, it's stock. It's got a V6. GMC had a 305 cubic inch V6 that burned regular, and then the Ford wagon. Originally it had a flathead V8, but that was gone when we got it, and it had a inline 6, which are ironclad, by the way, according to the old timers. The only thing is, this thing started writing Morse code on my driveway, dot, 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 dash, dot, 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 dash. Uh-oh, it's got an oil leak. And it was the rear seal, which is a big pain, because you got to put some kind of rope thing in there and jam, special tools. And even my mechanic says, I don't want to mess with it. So I had a friend who had acquired an old beater Mustang that had been wrecked by a bunch of teenagers. And his friend had a gas station, and the car, the Mustang, was just piled there and left. for Dad for several months. And the guy said, Scott was my friend, the fireman. Scott was going to build he wanted to build Shelby, Cobra. He wanted to build a Cobra, a kit Cobra.
Okay.
So he used the Mustang chassis. So he had the Mustang chassis, and he pulled the motor, and eventually he used a crate motor, which is way better. And I said, well, how much for that old 90s? It was about a 90 or 91 Mustang motor, which is fuel injected. I have a 88 Mustang, so I thought that'd be a cool motor to put in there because starts right like. So I bought it for $700, and then we had a builder who put the green wagon together, and he installed the motor, and he yanked all the fuel injection stuff off of it and put a 4-barrel with an Edelbrock. So he says that's more vintage that way, and he put dual glass packs, and it sounds great. But
is it a 302?
It is a 302. Which is interesting. The 5.0 is the same as the 302, a 5-liter.
Yep.
The motor the Ford's been using the 302 forever. That's in Lincolns and all the sedans and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that wagon doesn't weigh all that much, so the 302 in it, that thing's got to scoot pretty well.
Yeah, it scoots real good. I guess as good as an old station wagon would.
Yeah, makes for a good sleeper.
Yeah, people wave, and ladies love the green. Well, I get the post office. My dad had a car just like that as a little girl.
Well, tell you talk about your cars being in the movies. Now you've played on a number of movie soundtracks as well, correct?
Let's see. I'm trying to think which those would be. But what do you have?
If I remember right, John, you played on Fantasia 2000 and Elf.
Well, Elf, yes, and but the interesting thing with Fantasia 2000, we never played. We just stood there. As if we had just played, and so we were just props. The orchestra never played a note, but they did film us, and we made a good piece of paper off of that.
Well, that's the name of the game.
Yeah, Elf. Well, yeah, because Brian's gotten his. He's in several Christmas films. Christmas with the Cranks. Yeah. Christmas with the Cranks and Elf 1 and 2 and all these, and I get royalty checks because you know what? The guys in the Setzer band said we're going union. Like it or lump it. Mm-hmm. So, Brian's union. He's in the union too, so it benefits everybody because we get a big nice check every Christmas.
Yeah. Now, how about 9 to 5? I'd read you played on the soundtrack for that.
I played actually. Just on a trailer for 9 to 5. I'm trying to think of who's the bass player that plays most of that stuff. Jeff Takaguchi, I believe, maybe. Anyway, it wasn't me on the movie. If I was on a trailer, but I still get a taste from that one too.
You gotta like it.
Yep.
Now, I was looking at the list of folks that you've played with.
Oh God, that's a
and that's
3 columns,
amazingly long
single
list.
spaced.
But just to hit on a few of the names, Elvis, you can't overlook that one.
Oh, that was a fun gig.
How did you come to play with Elvis?
Well, I was living in Kansas City, and as some of you may know, Kansas City is a wonderful jazz town. They used to have in the Prohibition days, it was wide open. The mayor of Kansas City was going, what jazz clubs? I don't see any jazz clubs. Do you hear any jazz? No. And I'm sure he was on the take, but there was a big area of Kansas City. I don't know if it's 18th and Vine, something like that, where it was just speakeasy, jazz joint. And And to this day, the Black Musicians Union Hall is just up the street from that. And so the Kansas City Musicians Union is local 34-627. And I was in 34, but a lot of the old timers were in 627 because that was they call the Black Union. And they joined, so it's all one union now, but 34-627. 34, that you had to put two locals in there. But but it was a strong union town, which when I was playing there, played the Playboy Club in a jazz trio with a fellow named Pete I, the pianist. So and that was a union. Everything was union. It was a strong union town. Yeah, got a jazz
it was in
gig.
Kansas City that you played with Elvis then?
Yeah, Elvis. And I was playing with this rehearsal band, I guess you will. It was a big band, similar to Brian, except no guitar in front. And we had done shows for the Righteous Brothers, because they'd come in with a box of music and pass it out, and we'd play it. Liza Minnelli was one. And I remember doing the rehearsal and sitting there, and I was playing electric bass then, and she looks at me and goes, "You're cute." Other than that, that's as far as it got, but she thought I was cute. So
hey, you got that going for you.
If you're out there, Liza, I think you're cute too. So anyway, that they called it the Kansas City Kicks Band, and it was a full-on big band, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, 5 saxes. That's the standard big bandness, which is Brian's layout too, and rhythm section. So I got the call and said, "Hey, you want to do the Elvis show? There's a rehearsal, and the early afternoon, and then we go eat, and then we play the show." I said, "Okay." So we went down to I bought a couple of Elvis albums because, to be honest, I wasn't a fan of Elvis because I was a jazz purist. And Elvis wasn't jazz, 3 chords. Hey, been there, done that. You could figure out the song in the one verse. So I bought a couple of his albums, and just to hear this, what he was doing. And they were pretty good albums because, who was his arranger? Can't remember right now. But he conducted the rehearsal. We showed up, and they said, "Wear a white shirt and black pants." So we showed up to the rehearsal, and it was Joe Gershow. That's his name. He was the arranger, famous arranger. And he's conducting, and at the end of the rehearsal, he was just rehearsing the Winds, the hired musicians from Kansas City, the Winds, me, and their drummer, and the rest of the band wasn't there. In fact, I thought we were the band, But until Gershow says, "Oh, by the way, bass player and drummer, you just play that 2001 theme, and then lay out for the rest of the show, but don't leave the stage. Pretend you're playing." I go, "Wow, what? I'm not going to play? Wow." Well, anyway, so we took a break, and then I had my 2 albums with me because I thought, hey, I'm a kid from the Midwest. When you're in Hollywood, like now, I live in Woodland Hills, but you don't bother celebrities for autographs. It's just considered uncool. But then I didn't know, hey, I'm a Kansas Citian. I'm a hick. So I'm looking for Elvis. I'm wandering around with my 2 LPs, and I had a little felt tip pen. They call them felt tip pen, I think, not Sharpies anymore. It was pre-Sharpie. So, but I knew felt tip would write on an album cover, whereas ballpoint pen, no. So I'm wandering around in there, and pretty soon I spy him and the Colonel there at the end of this long driveway that leads into the arena. And so I kind of stroll over nonchalantly. There was nobody else around, just me and the 2 of them talking to each other. And I stood a distance away, like maybe 6 or 8 feet. Didn't say anything. Hey, mister, can I have your autograph? Hey, I just stood there with the albums and my pen. And pretty soon Elvis turned to me and he says, "You want me to sign them for you, Sonny?" So I call that the 9 words Elvis said to me. "You want me to sign those for you, Sonny?" So he did. Sign a bold little bitty signature about that big, and it said Elvis. Yeah, and I have no idea where they are. Either the ex-wife got them, or the babysitter who was a klepto. I don't know. I could probably buy a new car with what they're worth.
I was just going to say, you probably don't want to look up the value.
I probably don't. Maybe I will now. Maybe you can have your people look it up while we're talking.
There you go.
What's an Elvis autograph worth?
So now I see that you also play with Tony Bennett.
Tony Bennett. Now, I may have, because I know the Hodads were backing up celebrities here and there. And or he might have. I'll tell you where I played with him. I was playing in a jazz club nearby here in the valley called Monteleone's, and it was an Italian restaurant. And I guess he and Tom were friends, because he came into the joint that night and sat in with us, and we were just a jazz trio. So this is important now, folks. Become jazz players. It's cool to be a jazz player. Learn to read, listen to jazz. It's way hipper than most of the other stuff you see. So anyway, that's the lesson of the day. Learn to play jazz. So Tony sat in, and the piano player was Joe Parnello, who was at the time Sinatra's piano player. So, Tony Bennett sang. And I got to say, he has a very soft voice when he's in a nightclub. I left my heart. Just beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. Now, you've had a chance to record with quite a few folks as well.
Every now and then I get lucky.
What are some sessions that you played on that you recall?
Well, like I said, I did some stuff on 9 to 5 just for trailers. And, oh man, I should have gotten my diary out. I'm trying to think.
Well, you did some arranging for Mickey Dolenz, didn't you?
This is true. I played on some of his things and did some arrangements on. I'm trying to think of the name of the album. That was kind of due to the Big Daddy connection, because Bob Wayne, one of the members, had a studio called Sunburst in Culver City. So Dolenz was one of his clients. Yep.
Yeah, Mickey was on the show not too long ago.
Oh, is that right?
And I don't think he's really gotten his due as far as being one of the great rock vocalists. The guy can sing anything, but he's got such a distinctive sound. As soon as you hear it, it's unmistakably Dolenz.
I'll be. Well, I listen to too much symphony music, so I better expand my horizons.
Well, we can always talk about Haydn if you'd like here,
Oh yeah, hide and seek.
There you go. Well, tell you, I know the folks probably have a lot of questions about playing with Brian, and as I've mentioned, I've seen the BSO shows quite a few times, and the thing that always strikes me, and the people that we've taken with to the show, is how much fun everybody seems to be having during those shows.
Oh yeah, I have fun. My God, every night is like, yay. And Brian and I, when we do the trio set, that's where the antics get to come to the fore. I get Brian standing on my bass now, and he sits on it. He'll so I posted some pictures on I think it was johnnyhatton.com or maybe Facebook. Yeah, just the other day, because people were, I was getting a post. There's a lot of bass players, rockabilly bass players, and asking about it. One guy says, I'm a little afraid of standing on my bass. Now, how do I do this? So I'm right there. I said, well, just don't stand on your carved bass. So for you non-musicians, there are two kinds of bass construction. One is plywood. That's the sturdy construction. You can stand on a plywood bass because plywood is very rigid and strong. Now, the symphony basses and the good quality jazz basses are the tops are hand carved. They're not laminated. They're carved out of a piece of spruce, and it's very delicate. So don't stand on your symphony bass.
Word to the wise.
Yeah, or your jazz bass. Unless you're playing, you can play jazz on a plywood bass. Yeah.
Tell me this: if anybody is wanting to play rockabilly guitar, what do they need to know that makes playing that style different?
Well, typically, this is what I gather from it all. The Gretsch guitar has the tone, and George Harrison played a Gretsch because he wanted that tone. And they were all listening to rockabilly in the early Beatles days, because that was the stuff. And so the Gretsch guitar is the guitar of the rockabilly. And Brian Setzer is the poster boy for Gretsch. At any Brian Setzer gig, there's going to be an anvil case with about 8 of them in there. And I'm sure he doesn't pay for a single one.
You don't say.
Well, I talked to the guitar tech once, and he says, yeah, we had a loose knob on the guitar, but we didn't have a wrench to reach in and tighten the nut on the inside. So I called the Gretsch company, and I said, well, can you send us a wrench? He said, well, we'll just send you another guitar. Well, they did. They sent him a guitar. I can imagine who got the old Gretsch guitar with the bad tuner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we won't tell. He passed on anyway. God rest his soul.
Yeah. Now, have you thought about writing a how to play rockabilly bass book?
Well, surprised that you should mention this, but let me show you of my rockabilly bass book. And I was at a loss for a title, so
would you look at that?
I call it Rockabilly Bass. And not only does it have a great cover, but you learn to read. There's a little reflection here. Let's see. How's this? No, that's not good. There
you go. Right there. That's picture. Perfect.
And you learn how to stand. That's going to be the next book, when you learn how to stand on your bass and spin it. But this one's published by Hal Leonard. But you can get it at johnnyhatton.com. Yay. And look, there's notes in it, kids. You're going to learn to read. You're going to learn to read notes. Now, that's a good step. Look at all those notes. And many of these notes are the same notes that I played on Brian Setzer recordings. But the thing is, it starts real easy, real simple. And it also has video links. So when you see this little icon here, where is it? Right there under my finger. It looks like a little TV. When you see that, that'll take you to a link that only you can access, because each book has a code in the front. Now there's There's the code right there.
Look at that.
But it's your own personal code. You have that code, no one else. And that allows you to go on the Hal Leonard website and you'll see a video. We shot something like, I don't know, 3 days worth of video. We had edited it down to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, you mentioned about having fun playing with Setzer. What are the songs that you look forward to playing the most?
Oh, that's hard to say. I like them all, because they're all great big band tunes. And, the trio tune that comes to mind is, what is it called? The big closer, Fishnet Stockings. That's the one where we have fun. I climb on the bass. Brian's standing on it. But every night is different. And I love singing Jingle Bell Rock. That was a fun one too, because he does it perfect. So many people screw it up. And I get to sing back up with the two girls, Julie and, I call them Boom Boom and Toots. Julie and Leslie. Julie is Boom Boom and Leslie is Toots. Boom Boom and Toots.
Yeah. Now tell me this. Do you have any records out? And if so, what style might they be in?
Well, I'm happy you mentioned recordings. I just happen to have let's see if I can get it. There you go. Look at that. That's Gospel Bop. Now I decided my first CD would be a gospel CD, but it's Bernie Dressel's on it, a bunch of other people, myself, some really great musicians in Los Angeles. Fino Roverato's on there, and got the lead singer with the Joe Finkel band singing high harmonies. Yeah, we had a great time. And it's a good. I grew up in a church. I've been to go in a church since I can remember. I still go play in the church band, although we're the pandemic's been kind of messing with the church schedule. So, but we have just Zoom church, so we can sit around our computer. The best thing about Zoom church is when it's Communion Sunday. Normally we have grape juice and bread, but they don't know what's in that glass. On Zoom, they can't smell, what I'm saying?
There you go. You got to figure it out.
Yep. And I've been going to church. My grandpa was a elder in the church, minister. And I'm a priest. They asked me if I wanted to be in the priesthood. So, okay. And I was music director for a long, long time until we'd have symphonies in there and concerts and Christmas shows. But then Brian came along and I became, I was always gone during the Christmas. So Bill Severinsen now is the music director. He's a fine LA drummer, one of the tops and great singer, and has fun. So I passed the flame to Bill.
There you go. Well, tell me this, Johnny, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to make sure that we discuss?
Oh, let's see. I believe I can't think of anything except, go on JohnnyHatton.com and I'll have a t-shirt your size. And there's combinations. You can get a t-shirt with the CD, with the book, and the whole bang in one package. Or you can get a shirt and a CD, or a CD and a book, and all this.
Good deal. Well, as we said before, we got this
and hire me for a gig. If you're here in LA, I play club gigs all the time. So I think we're going to be at the Smokehouse on the 12th. with Joe Finkel. So come in and see that.
There you go. So any booking agents who are watching this show, get a hold of Johnny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tell you what, Johnny, on that note, we'll bring this one to a close. I want to thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, but all right, everybody, we'll tell you what, we appreciate you watching. Everybody, have a good night.
Bye-bye.
This has been Music Night at the Majestic with Michael Boswell. If you enjoyed this edition of Music Night at the Majestic, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and at musicnight.net. Music Night at the Majestic is a copyright production of Starliner Media. Any use of the accounts and descriptions of this program, its audio or visual content, without the express written consent of Starliner Media is prohibited. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you next time for Music Night at the Majestic. This is your announcer speaking. Starliner Media.